Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so preseason's over with. We walk out of there healthy. 132-74 was the score. The Lakers lost by 58 points, and that was that was horrible, man. Um, it was horrible. I don't doubt that these are young players who need to develop. Most of them that we used tonight, we didn't have any of our real contributors. So I think the only guys you would assume would get some real playing time in the regular season would probably be like Cam Reddish potentially and Max, not Max Lewis. I don't think so. Jackson Hayes were the two guys that I think you might see in the regular season some. Although I could argue after seeing this, I don't want to see them. This was bad, man. Quincy Olivari had 22 points. He shot really well, 8 of 16, 50% from the field. I think he had like 4 of 6 from 3 or something. So he shot well, but there were 6 turnovers there. Defense was bad. You could see where he can get in his bag offensively, but that was not a great game from him. Bronny James walked out of there with, I believe, like 13 points, something like that. 1 block, 3 steals. So this was a pretty good game for Bronny, even though he had like a minus 37. Some of the plus minuses you'll see in this box score are jaw-dropping, like Halloween scary type stuff, man. Max Lewis was like a minus 55. Colin Castleton like a minus 45. I mean, these guys were really, really horrible tonight. And I know they're not used to playing with one another. It's preseason. These are guys that don't, they need to develop. They're on the road against a good defensive Golden State team who played a lot of their regular guys. So it's a lot of things coming up against them. You do not want to play a good defensive team, a good 3-point shooting team when you're them. When you're the guys we ran out there. You don't. We only went 7 deep, and with the exception of good shooting from Quincy Olivari, it was really not a whole lot to like. 28 turnovers. As a team, we shot like below 35% from the field, below 29% from the 3. Just horrific shooting. I really think that we need to cut some of these people, man. After watching this game, I don't like the idea of having to rely on these people, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't. When you start seeing what we saw tonight, and you understand just how far and away they are from being NBA players, a good most of those 7 players, you start really wondering what is probably best for your team is to probably find a way to remove them from the equation. We need different players on our bench, man. They can't be relied. We can't get to a point where we have so many injuries that we're relying on these guys, man. And I'm not saying that we're gonna have these type of injuries, but you figure we're starting the season with 4 guys already missing, right? Vanderbilt, Wood, the new guy that we picked up from the Toronto Raptors, who has the blood clots. I can't think of his name right now. Koloko, and someone else as well that's out. That's not coming to mind. But we already have injury issues as is. Got older Bron, AD, who's been healthy and moving good, but historically you can't count him to stay healthy. There is a world where you roll a couple ankles and you actually relying on some of these people. And if this is the product we're going to be putting on the floor, we will be by far and away the worst team in basketball. I don't think these 7 people can win a single basketball game in the NBA, and I wonder if they can win a single basketball game in the G League together. This was an abysmal display of basketball. I have seen better basketball played at rec centers. I kid you not. Every summer league game we played was better than this. I kid you not. This was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen anyone be paid to play in my entire life. I kid you not. Bottom 5 worst displays of basketball I've ever seen. And at one point, you're just sitting there saying, this is getting worse. We had 12 points in the 4th quarter. And we just kept handing them the ball in some of the most egregious ways. And kept allowing them to have back cuts, screens to the basket, layups for the other team. How are these people paid to play basketball is what I'm sitting here watching. Like, they can't be serious, bro. I understand a lot of these guys got to develop. But how far behind in development can they be for them to look this bad, yo? This bad? I've had games where I've been involved in basketball games that look better than this. I lost faith in some people. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I felt a lot better about people before this game started. And I kind of wish I didn't lay eyes on this. I really do. I kind of wish I didn't lay eyes on this. Cam Reddish, if he's not stealing the ball, he really ain't really doing much of anything, it seems, right now, man. I'm just being honest with you. He has real good hands. He can steal the ball with the best of them. Real sly with his arms, striping at the basketball. Other than that, I don't think I saw too much good out of him at all. Like, it was just bad after bad after bad after bad. Over and over again. Shot selection. I mean, just horrible, friends. Horrible. Colin Castleton, this is the worst basketball game I've ever seen Colin Castleton play. And it's the worst time for that because people are trying to figure out who to cut. And if they watch this basketball game, it's going to be Colin Castleton. I'm telling you right now. He looked bad. Bad. And it doesn't help that Coach Reddick doesn't really play him at all. Didn't play him in the preseason, so it shows that Coach Reddick don't really believe in this guy like that. I'm pretty sure Colin Castleton played his last game as a Laker. If we're trying to figure out between him and Olivari who we're cutting, this ain't going to be hard to do after a game like this. It's not hard. Just it's one of those situations where it's like you just want to believe that some of your young players got better tonight somehow, having ran up against some really talented guys like Wiggins and Pajemski, having to run up against GP. Draymond Green at one point was on the floor. Kuminga. You gotta hope your guys got better, but really they just got beat. I mean, I don't know that I could take anything positive away from this basketball game. I can't imagine them guys walk off the court feeling good about themselves after playing this crap. Like, that's the problem with a game like this. Like, on one hand, it's like, okay, they got a chance to run up against some real guys. On the other hand, they just saw how far and away they are from actually being on their level, and it can really stump your growth or your intensities about playing well. I think Bronny feels good about this game. I think Quincy feels good about displaying that he can shoot. Everybody else struggled bad. Armel Traore showed some good moments out there, so I still am a believer in him. But just about everybody else we played, I really, really don't want to see them anymore. Like, that's how bad this was for me. I don't want to see these people anymore. Max Lewis, far and away from being an NBA basketball player. He gonna have to go to the G League for a long time. Jalen Hood-Schifino, boy, did he draw away from the belief that I had in him watching him out there tonight. He can't find his footing. His confidence is bad. His decision-making is bad. His shot selection was bad. Driving at the rim was bad. Defense wasn't very good. Jalen Hood-Schifino had me feeling really, really disappointed tonight because on this channel, we're trying to make, the point that this is a young player who needs to develop, who's going to project to be something pretty good in the future if we just patiently develop him. But where we are is at a floor that's so damn low that you don't see it getting much better, or at least to a level that would justify drafting him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's how bad this looked over this preseason. With the exception of the Minnesota game, he's really been awful from possession to possession to possession. He's been bad, like really bad. And you have this idea that young players can get better if they just play, but it's like, bro, you're going to hurt us bad if we keep running you out there and you look like this. We can't give you any meaningful minutes until you start showing that you deserve them. And that's what it really comes down to. I don't think people earned any confidence tonight, man. And so that's really my take on it. I just think half of our team is really bad. After watching this game, I know that guys have a bad game going up against good defense, going up against some of these guys who won NBA championships. You know what I mean? I know we're going up against real players, and these are not guys used to playing with one another, rookie coach. But you know, you just have to wonder if our team is not better for just moving on from like everybody who played tonight, with the exception of maybe like 2 or 3 people. Like, seriously, if we're not just a better team just by getting rid of these people. And that's the truth, man. I can't shake it. Jackson Hayes, I don't think he really has enough things in his arsenal to really help this team in the way that we're going to need him to if he's going to be in lineups like this. Now, if he's on the floor with Bron and AD, his limitations are masked by their supreme talent. But if he's going to be in rotations with these type of guys, he's bad. His limitations are glaring. He needs to be able to do more than he can, and it's not good. It's not good, man. Colin Castleton, same thing. He was really bad, as we said already. Max Lewis isn't ready. Jalen Hood-Schifino, his confidence is in the toilet. I think his attitude is not very good to start this season. I think he's one of the guys that's really struggling with his role, struggling with the right lights, struggling with the presence of Bronny. I just think Jalen Hood-Schifino is probably not wired for what we got going on here. For this particular situation, he looks like this is eating away at his happiness. I'm just being honest. And he's continuing to make mistakes, and it's eating away at his confidence. So you got 2 negatives, if I'm sensing anything correctly. It's just not good for him. And I'm worried about where we're headed from here with that particular player, bro. So, yeah, this ain't good, man. This ain't good. Quincy Olivari looked pretty good, but even some of his decisions and mistakes were like, okay, we got a long way to go with him too. The shooting was there, but the defense was bad. Turnovers were bad. Decision making bad in some of these cases. He didn't look his best. It was just bad, man. It was just awful. It showed us just how much trash we have on the back of our bench right now, man. How many developing players need intensive coaching placed upon them individually? They're going to need a lot of work. That's what it really comes down to. If you're going to keep some of these projects, y'all got to really invest in these young fellas. Assign a specific coach to them. Send them to the G League and make sure the G League is really focusing on them. Because they are not, this was not an NBA product tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I get it. This is the back of our bench, whatever. But you can find guys in the draft that were just picked up that would outplay that unit we had on the floor there in that second round. In the undrafted pool, you can find 7 dudes that would have beat our guys tonight who weren't even drafted. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. That's how bad some of our dudes look. And so, if I'm Rob Pelinka, man, some people are going to be leaving this team. If it's even remotely possible to move Cam Reddish, he's gone. If it's even remotely possible to upgrade from Jackson Hayes, he's gone. Colin, I don't think you have a future with the team, bro. Colin Castle, I don't think so. Max Lewis and Jalen Hood-Schifino, I'll try to develop them. You know what I'm saying? I see where they can be better 5 years from now. I also see where they can be in China 5 years from now if they don't start looking better than they look today. I can tell you that. Bronny, like I said, Bronny looked pretty good, but we know a lot of the problems that we have out there is him running around not knowing what the hell he's doing and creating problems for others, as broken down by many people online. So I don't doubt that a lot of problems that could have been specifically wrong tonight had to do with him not making himself available in some very common sense ways for basketball players, because that's what's been pointed out. Cutting here, sprinting there, keeping your dribble alive. He was a big part of the problem and has been all preseason long, and most people who know this sport know that. So I don't doubt he contributed to why those 7 players looked terrible out there, because he was out there for a good majority of the time. Although he looked pretty good, he was certainly not the worst player on the floor. I will say that. But some of his issues, he's going to have to learn the game, man. And until he learns the game, he's going to have trouble making other people look competent next to him. That's just what it is. But man, I genuinely want some of these people off my team after tonight, bro. I'm just being honest with you. I don't want it to get to a point where worst case scenario we're watching any of this ever again. Period. That's exactly how I feel, bro. Some of these people wouldn't start in the G League. Like the way they look tonight, they'll be lucky to get some minutes with the South Bay Lakers. That's how bad some of these people look tonight, man. So I'm just being honest, bro. I know I'm a Debbie Downer. This is not what you want the team to hear. People trying to gain their confidence, this, that, and the third. I get it. I'm just a fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm somebody reacting to what I saw. And what I saw was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen, bro. And I'm telling you, people should be ashamed they're getting a check for a game like this. Some of these dudes should give their check back to Jeannie Buss. Like, you no way in hell you put on a uniform and ran out there and looked like this tonight, man. There's no way in hell. That's just how I feel, man. It's just how I feel. I'm sorry for anybody who might be disappointed with me, but I don't cap, bro. I do not cap. And I'm certainly aware that the majority of who we are expecting to have on the floor were not out there tonight. I know that. The best of what we have was comfortably safe, not risking their health, and I would not have had it any other way. Don't get it twisted. I did not want any of those people to play, but that we were exposing our bench or our third string and they look this bad is pretty alarming and embarrassing, if I'm being completely honest. As a Laker fan of 30 years, these people ain't deserve to wear the uniform tonight, bro. Some of them, like, they just didn't. They didn't. So that's really what I gotta say, man. I'm not interested in ever seeing any of that again. Burn the tape. Kudos to Bronny for having a career high. The most he scored since leaving college. Of course, you know, that's that. A caveat is that he was on the floor for like 40 minutes or something like that. Kudos to Quincy Olivari, showing that he's the best of those 7 players for certain. So if we do have to cut somebody, cutting him is ridiculous, given that he outplayed all of them and didn't even play well. That should tell you, if you're cutting somebody, it shouldn't be Q. I tell you that. It definitely shouldn't be Q. So, man, I don't know, man. I'm just glad our guys are healthy. I'm ready for the start of the season. I don't know that the team is, if half of these people are going to be on it. But, you know, we're going to go forward. Rob, I'm glad we got Dalton Connect because we don't need any more projects, fam. I'm just being honest with you. We don't need any more projects. We don't need another guy that needs to work so hard to look like an NBA player. I don't know why we put so many of these people together with our circumstances, our timeline. I really don't know the logic behind that, bro. But this exposed just how much work needs to be done to make these guys good, and they're not on Bron's timeline or AD's timeline at all, man. They're not. And so that's what I gotta say. The Max Lewis's, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Bronny James, these folks need ample time in the G League and a lot of film study. And so that's what comes to mind, man. Do something. Do something about this. Do not make it so that our last line of defense is this. Because if this is what we're going to be relying upon when people get hurt, we are not going to make the playoffs, man. I'm just being honest. And so that's pretty much my thought on things, man. Game ball goes to... I didn't really even look at the stats over there in Golden State. I didn't even as much as glance at their stats, so I honestly don't have an educated guess of who played best over there. So I'm just going to reserve the right to not give the game ball to anybody, because at the end of the day, they played against some of the worst players you could put on the floor together. So whatever they did right, they were supposed to do. That's how I look at the Golden State Warriors. They should be very, very pleased to have walked out of there healthy, just like us. But if I'm Steve Kerr, I'd have played the worst players I had once I started seeing what the Lakers were running out there. There's no way I would have had Draymond Green on that floor, put Jimsky on that floor after looking at what the Lakers was running out there. No way in hell. And so I don't feel like it's positive to keep bashing the same people over and over again. Y'all get it. I think you get the point. To say I'm disappointed is not really, they don't give it justice. I wish I had my last 3 hours back. I kind of wish I didn't watch that, man. I really do. That was scary. That was scary. But we're healthy. We're starting the season on Tuesday. It's going to be exciting to have Bron, AD, and all those guys, man. Dalton Connect, after the game he had last night, we're extremely excited about. The NBA should take this as a middle finger for scheduling a back-to-back for our Lakers to play. I do think that somewhere in the back of my mind, I think we may have done this on purpose just to provide them horrible content for what they ultimately schedule. Don't do that again. And yeah, man. All things considered, it wasn't a bad preseason. It wasn't a great one, but we got 2 victories out of it in spectacular fashion. I think we found some rookies that could really help us, and maybe identified some rookies that can't, or some young players that maybe can't, and some role players that maybe, probably should be better elsewhere. But AD looks great. Bron's ready for season 22. I think Rui looks pretty solid. I definitely feel good about Austin Reeves after last night, even though his preseason hasn't been very good. He seemed to have broken out his slump yesterday. Hopefully that carries over to Tuesday. But, man, we got work to do, man. JJ got his work cut out for him. He's got to really pay attention to these young players. It ain't just about making sure the guys you're going to use are any good. Because the moment one of these dudes go down, you're going to be relying on some of this trash here, man. And if they still are in the dark as they look tonight, it's on you. Because that's your job, JJ. It's your job, coaching staff. Y'all got to dig in with these young players, sit down and spend time with them. And you can't be afraid to get on Bronny James about hustling, cutting, read and react, making sense of what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? You can't be afraid to coach these guys, because if you have to rely upon them and they suck like they did tonight, it's going to reflect poorly upon y'all, and you best believe people are going to get fired. There is no question about that. If you don't have these young players looking better than they look tonight, it ain't going to be long for this coaching staff, man. That's what I think. So, JJ, that's what it is, bro. I hope our young players could play better than they look tonight, man. I'm rooting for these young fellas. I don't want them to have this reputation as players that are horrific. I do think as players get older, they play more games, they learn lessons, they become more savvy as vets. I haven't lost sight of that being the case. As I said this morning, there's not a microwave instantaneous result situation here that you can get out of these young players. You give them something to work on and you give it time. I made that analogy myself, so I'm not off of that in any way. But after what I saw tonight, I just feel like we're much further behind with some of these guys than I'm comfortable with. And I may not have felt that way before this game. So that's the truth. We just may be a little further down than maybe what our timeline would even make sense for having these guys on the team. So that's my take on that. Stop drafting projects, man. Stop slapping players that need to go into the G League on our roster. That's really what it comes down to. If they're not able to contribute, it's just not the situation that's best for them, man. I don't believe it is. And so hopefully Rob Pelinka can find a way to do something that it will help shave off some of the players that just cannot really contribute in the LeBron James era, and maybe bring us some guys that we can rely upon a little more if need be, to where our team doesn't fall all the way off a cliff if a couple guys go down with injury, for which our team has faced over the last several years consistently. So that's really what it comes down to, man. I think I'll leave it at that. Glad we had basketball to watch. It's good to be back. But you never want your preseason to end with you having this much concern about some of the guys on your roster. So, we got a lot to be excited about. Hopefully our team can kind of avoid having to play any of those people at all. We get a good, healthy season out of this. Dalton Connect go crazy. Bron AD look great. Get a bounce-back season from Austin, and we can really be rolling, man. But, my God, tonight was really scary. BDF 44. Salute to Kobe Minute. I'm out.